Limitless Yoga Studio online. My name's Kelsey and this is Watson. And today we're going to be working on those really tight, grumpy outer hips. So we're going to be doing a lot of stretches for them as well as some myofascial release at the end of class. So if you are enjoying these classes, please feel free to donate on our Patreon account, which is in the link below this video, so that we can keep cranking out more content. For today's class, you're going to need your 2 yoga blocks, a myofascial release ball or a tennis ball, and then if possible, a yoga strap or something that you can use as a yoga strap. So a belt from a robe, something like that'll work, jump rope, whatever you got, we'll need that. So once you have all your supplies, we're going to go ahead and meet laying down, and then I'm going to show you a position with the legs that might help you begin to kind of get a feeling of where that outer hip stretch is going to be throughout the rest of the class. So once you roll back nice and relaxed, I'm going to take the feet about mat distance apart, and possibly wider depending on how long your legs are. And then I'm going to gently let the knees cave in towards one another, not forcing them. And then I want to play with the distance of my feet to my hips. So sometimes walking the feet a little closer is a little more comfortable or more natural. So play with that distance, play with the distance of how wide the feet are. And then once you're settled in and it just kind of feels like you can relax and let gravity take care of this, then close down the eyes and begin that breath work. And once the eyes are closed down, we're going to relax through the muscles of the face, feeling the jaw drop, the tongue release from the roof of the mouth. You might also feel the ears get a little heavier, the throat becomes softer. As the body responds, relaxes, and gets a little heavier, go ahead and begin to notice where the air is going in and out the nose. Can you trace it down into the torso? How far down does it go towards the belly button? Can you feel a stretch anywhere in the belly or the ribs or the chest? Maybe you feel the body expanding against the clothes or the mat. And then we're going to very gently begin to increase this inhale. So without stressing or forcing anything, each inhale is becoming a little bit more complete. As you inhale, see if you can actually get the breath down to the pit of the belly, expanding through the belly, expanding through the rib cage, and expanding through the chest. With the next few cycles of breath, once you inhale, you might try to sip up just a tiny bit more air. Again, just encouraging the body to really find its max volume here. Sometimes it's helpful to imagine your rib cage as an umbrella. As you inhale, that umbrella opens equal on all sides, including the back body. And then on your exhale, that umbrella gently folds back down. And your inhale, you open that umbrella back up, again trying to get all the way out, and then gently bring it all the way back in. Give me 3 more giant cycles of breath, maybe choosing to count how long the inhale takes you and comparing that number to the exhale. But again, just allowing this free flow of breath in and out the nose, not forcing anything or stressing about the number that you reached or the area that you're stretching. We're just trying to gather up this breath and increase it gently. On this last cycle of breath, inhale. And then exhale with the intention of trying to keep this kind of breath throughout class. Okay, making that the priority. As you continue to breathe, you're going to flutter open the eyes. I'm going to gently bring the knees apart from one another. Drop both knees over to the right as heavy as you can. Like I said, a windshield wiper is noticing how the outer left hip gets a little bit of a stretch. Then we're going to swing the knees all the way back over to the left and feel the outer right hip. Okay, so to take a few of these on your own at your own pace, just make sure that you're noticing a little bit of the stretch at that very end range of motion before you then switch over to the other side. So we're actively rolling the thigh bones around in the socket, gently warming them up and bringing that sensation of stretch to the outer hips. One more right, one more left, even yourself out. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to center, and you might want to wiggle your feet just a tick closer together. We're going to bring the right knee into the chest. The left hand is going to gather up that right ankle and gently pull it across the body. Okay? If you're not able to reach the ankle, then just put the ankle on top of the knee. Right? Big breath here. Play with the angles. I like to take the right knee over towards the left shoulder, but I know some people like to kind of play around until they find that perfect spot on their outer hip. So we're thinking about basically where your right hand would go into your side pocket of your jeans on the right side. That's about where that stretch is. All right, now everybody's going to go ahead and lay the ankle on top of the knee, creating what we call a force stance. Right? We're going to drop this over to the left. Take a big breath here. Maybe the foot goes to the floor. If you want to support that pose by placing a block under the foot, you're welcome to do so. Or if you'd like to increase the pose, you can take that left hand and again, scoop up the ankle and just kind of slowly wiggle towards the nose. I'm going to keep the knee directed up towards the ceiling. Take one more big breath here. And then slowly release the pose back to its starting position. Okay? Making sure that the belly is prepared and firm. We're going to bring the shape into the chest and just take a couple of these big taps using the power of your left leg to draw in and stretch out that outer right hip. We got 2 more here. Kind of just gently warming up that area. And then on this last one, we're going to wrap the hands around that left thigh bone. We're going to flex both feet to the shin, keeping that 90 degrees in the left knee. And then I'm going to do again, my best to use the power of my left leg to draw this in and find the intensity rather than trying to really pull in and stress out my shoulders. I'm going to take one more big breath here. And then if I want it just a tick more, you're welcome to take the shape over to the left just a few inches. It's going to make it just a little more intense. So if you're happy to stick where you were, then go ahead and we'll take a breath here. Bringing yourself all the way back to your starting position, go ahead and gently release this. We'll take the right heel up and down a few times, just kind of making sure that the back of the leg feels okay because we are going to straighten it out fully. And then once you have that straight leg, I'm going to take the hands behind the back of the thigh bone. All right. So straight-ish on this leg. But the most important thing is this next move. I'm going to slide the footprint across the ceiling, squeezing the inner thighs together and feeling that whole kind of IT band area get a little bit of attention. Pause here, breathe here. And then if you need a little bit more, you might stretch out that left leg flat out against the floor. That will give you some more. So just an option. If you regret that decision, then just bring that footprint right back to the mat. We're here for one more breath. Okay, we're going to drag this back to center and place the right footprint on the mat. Bring the left knee into the chest. We're going to do the other side. Right hand takes over. Kind of pull this foot across the body, maybe resting it on the ankle if that feels more comfortable for you, and then play with the angles. All right, there's lots of movements here, lots of opportunities to find that very perfect spot for the tension that you have wrapped around this outer left hip. We're still breathing in and out the nose. We're still trying to open and close the rib cage like an umbrella. So we're getting that max inhale and that max exhale. One more big breath here, finding that outer hip stretch. This is one of my absolute favorites. All right, and then everybody's going to gently place the ankle on top of the knee, all right? So if you know that you need a block, have that handy. We're going to drop it over to the side, maybe with the block underneath the footprint, maybe with the footprint on the floor. Everybody with the knee pointing up towards the ceiling, and then maybe that right hand sneaks down there and kind of wiggles the foot closer to you. Now, you don't want to do any of this to the detriment of your knee. So if you're feeling something here rather than here, you know that that's not the pose for you, all right? Take one more big breath here. And then we're going to bring this shape back to center, firming up the belly. So think about your hips moving into your ribs. You're going to bring this up and down using the power of your right leg now to bring it back and forth, just kind of testing the water, seeing what we got going on here. One more. And then we're going to wrap the hands around that right thigh bone and hold on. Flex both feet to the shin. Keep that 90 degrees in the right knee. And then as we snuggle it in using the strength of the right leg rather than the strength of the arms, take a big breath here, feeling out that outer left hip. By now, you've probably established which hip is grumpier than the other. There's always one that tends to be a little bit more cranky. And then if you'd like just a tick more, I'm going to slide this shape over to the right. Only have to go a little bit before you feel the effects. It definitely intensifies it. Take one more big breath here. And then we'll bring this back to center and set it down. All right, left leg goes up towards the ceiling. I'm going to go ahead and kick it up and down a few times, just making sure that I'm getting that hamstring and calf prepared for that straight leg. When you're ready, we're going to hold on to that. And then we're going to take it across the body, kind of squeezing the inner thighs together, making an X shape with our thigh bones. You are more than welcome to stay here as you feel the whole outer hip as well as that IT band area start to talk to you. Or if you'd like, if you want a little more, you can straighten out the right leg flat out against the mat. And you might be able to do that on one side and not the other. That's not a big deal. Sides are different, as we just talked about. We got one more big breath here, drawing that leg across, keeping the low back nice and flat. And then we'll bring it back to center. Bring both knees into the chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. We're going to rock and roll a few times up and down the spine, and then we'll roll it all the way up to a seated position. As soon as you're seated, you're going to walk your hands all the way forward into a little bow, chin to chest. You're welcome to take the blocks underneath the hands, which might help you feel more comfortable here. Once you have that long spine, you're going to take your arms all the way over to the right, kind of walk your fingers over there, almost like you're smooching your right kneecap. And then my left fingers are in charge here of the intensity. So if I want a little bit more down to my left outer hip, my left fingers might walk forward or further across the body. One breath here. And then we'll bring it on back to center. Take a moment to get symmetrical. Maybe those blocks are under the hands. And then you can just kind of walk the blocks as extensions of your hands over to the left. Okay, so now we're relaxing the chin over the chest, kind of staring at that left kneecap. The right fingers are in charge, so if they want to do something a little different to feel a bit of a different sensation down the right outer hip, go ahead, take a big breath. And we'll bring it all the way back to center one more time, maybe noticing how you feel a little bit different. Maybe you can crawl the fingers a little further. Then walk yourself all the way back in, getting rid of the blocks, relaxing the chin to the chest, and then rolling out the neck. We want to take at least one big circle in each direction, so you are more than welcome to take more if you're feeling something good that you want to work through. And then once you have all those crackles out, we're going to go ahead and roll it on over to hands and knees. So get there however you need, whatever's most comfortable for you. If you need support under the knees, go ahead. You can always double fold your mat in the middle. I'm going to stack the shoulders on top of the wrists, the hips on top of the knees, and I'll spread my fingers out wide so I've got gloves, not mittens. On your inhale, gently drop the ribs towards the floor. On your exhale, push into the palms, arch the back, and tuck the tailbone towards the nose. As you continue to flow up and down, prioritize the length of the spine. We really want as much space from nose to tailbone as possible as we move through each and every link in the chain. Okay, everything getting addressed, everything finding movement. So slow down if you need to. Be mindful of all the little pieces moving here. We got one more up, one more down. Okay, next time you're in a neutral spine pause, belly button to spine, firm belly, you're going to sass the hips over to the right and then just slowly let them take a circular motion down to the booty, heels, over to the left, and back to center. And then we'll do the other side, over to the left, kind of sassy with the hips, bring it down booty to heels, over to the right, and back to center. All right, we're going to take the right footprint up towards the ceiling, and we're just going to curtsy across. So a few of these big dynamic movements, you're letting that left hip kind of get sassy to the side. You're drawing that right knee as far across to the outer edge of your mat as what's comfortable, feeling that outer left hip talk to you. All right, bring it on back. Now really reach through those right toenails, sweep it over to the side and take a peek around the corner. Now finding a little on the outer right hip. Take a big breath here for me. Okay, bring it all the way back to center so we can do the other side. Left footprint up in the ceiling, and then notice the difference in the sides as you begin to sass the hips. Again, it's always good to know which side's a little grumpier so that you're just aware of that throughout class so you're not pushing yourself past where you need to go. One more big sassy right hip, and then we're going to stretch that leg out nice and long. Sweep it over to the right, take a peek around the corner, feel everything down that outer left side. Big breath. All right, bring it back to center. Make sure you're squared off so there's space between the knees. This time we're going to let our hips sass to the right and we're going to pause. Now you want to play with the angles a little bit. I know for me, if I move my booty back a little bit, it's different than if I just slide to the side. So we're looking for that nice big outer hip stretch. If you want to add on just a little bit more, I'm going to take the right ankle and hook it over the left ankle. That might give you a different sensation. Take it or leave it. All these are options. If you want just maybe a tick more, I'm going to uncross the ankles. I'm going to keep the sassy hips to the right. And I'm going to kind of slide the left leg over into that curtsy. Okay? It's just adding more weight over in that direction, which will give you a deeper stretch. Bring it back to center, square yourself off. Hips over to the left, knowing the side is different. You might choose to stay here, play with the angles, and stay for a couple breaths. You might choose to hook that left ankle on top of the right, play with the hips. okay? Or you might choose to sass the hips to the left and add in that right. So it's just a little bit of a curtsy. You're just directing more weight over there onto that left hip as it slides to the side. Give me a big breath here. And then bring it all the way back to hands and knees. All right, take a moment here to firm up those shoulders, step back into plank. Now in this plank, I want you to push into the palms and dome the upper back so you have a ridiculously supported upper body. We're not sinking in the shoulders, we're not sinking in the low back. We're gonna need this here for one of our outer hip stretches, okay? So think about really doming and pushing the floor away from you. Press back into down dog, take a moment to walk out the calves. Big breath here. All right, take as much time as you need to walk yourself all the way up to the top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, forward fold, chin to chest. Inhale, rise up, get so tall. Grab a hold of the right wrist. You're going to shift up and over, creating this big rainbow shape with the body. Allow the hips to kind of get sassy to the right. So you're going to look like this. Okay, do your best to keep the shoulder blades symmetrical, not dipping forward. Bring it back to center, grab the left, up and over. Again, rather than looking down at the floor, you're looking straight ahead, sliding the hips to the side, getting it all the way down that outer hip. Take a breath. All right, bring it back to center. Inhale, rise up. We've got sun A's. Exhale, leaning forward, bending the knees if you need. Fingers to the floor. Inhale, fingertips to shins to lengthen the spine. Exhale, step it on back into plank. All right, so can you create that strong shape of pushing the floor away from you, doming the back? Keeping that support through the shoulders, heels are going to go to the right. Take a moment here. And then heels are going to go to the left. Okay, and we're going to build onto that for our outer hip stretch. Drop to the knees, drop to the belly. I'm going to bend the knees and sway the hips right and left. Noticing that I get a little bit of nice stretch effect here as I take this puppy dog tail and wag it for 3, for 2, and last one. As I glue my toenails to the floor, I'm going to draw the belly button up off of the mat. Inhale, roll up, cobra, shoulder heads back and down. Relax it back down. 2 more. Keeping the belly firm so none of this is directed into the low back. We're trying to keep it in that upper back area. Okay, 1 more. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, roll back down. Curl your toes. Use your knees if you need to rise back up into plank and to press back into down dog. I love to bend my knees a lot here and really push into my hands to lengthen my spine. That's an option. And then as you look forward, step forward, feet hip distance apart, bend the knees. Right hand's going to go down, and left hand's going to go up. Take a big breath here. We're going to build onto this next round. Drop the left, reach up with the right. All right, drop it back down. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. This time, grab opposite elbows. From here, head on over in one direction, sliding the hips to the side. So maybe possibly feeling a deeper stretch than we did the first round. And then come back and switch it out. Okay, we got 1 more sun A adding on to what we already did. Back to center. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, step it back into plank. All right, create that strong plank shape of pressing the floor away from you and doming the back. I'm going to take the heels to the right, continuing that strong shoulder. I'm going to maybe sag the right hip just enough to feel an extra stretch. I'm not sagging in the shoulders. Okay, bring it back to center. Head over to the left. Stay strong through the shoulders. Maybe the hip drops a bit more. Take a breath. All right, back to center. I'll meet you on the belly. All right, from here, bend just the right knee, head up over and across, feeling that big twist and spiral along the body. 1 on the left. And then back to center. All right, hands or no hands, that's up to you. 3 more cobras. Roll the shoulder heads back and down. Lift, lengthen through the crown of the head. What we don't want to do is look like a Pez dispenser and just open up our throats towards the ceiling. All right, we got 1 more. Roll up and relax. Hands to the rib cage. Find your plank, maybe with the assistance of your knees, and then press back into down dog, perhaps bending the knees if you want to lengthen the spine. Okay, so a little different here. I want you to step up with your feet mat distance apart. Bend the knees like we did before. Right hand down, left hand up. Now, once you find the twist, begin to push into your left foot as if you want to straighten the left leg. At some point, you're going to find that outer left hip stretch. If you need more, then you can also add in a little bit of the right as well, okay? But we want that straight left leg before we attempt that. Switch it out, bend the knees, right hand comes up. So I'm going to begin to push into the right foot and just stay there. If the right leg becomes straight-ish and you want to add on, you can take a little bit of the left as well. Big inhale, big exhale. bend the knees to release. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. And then exhale, hands to heart center. All right. So we're going to grab those blocks, set them up at the top of the mat. About shoulder distance apart here. All right. We won't need the ball until the very end of class and the strap at the very end of class. So here we go with our flow. Feet hip distance apart. Inhale, hands up overhead. Exhale, have a seat down in your chair. From your chair, press into your heels. Take a big inhale. On your exhale, rise up with the right knee. We're going to plant the ankle on top of the knee and slowly come right back down into your funky chair. All right, you're going to feel that outer right hip start to talk to you. Give me a breath. We're going to switch it out. Inhale, rise. Exhale, chair. Inhale, rise with the left. Exhale down into your chair for a breath. Keep the foot flexed. Keep the gaze steady and strong. We're here for one more breath. All right, inhale, rise. Exhale, chair. Inhale to stay. Exhale to fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, your vinyasa. I'm just going to step back in the down dog this first round. You're welcome to join me. I'm going to make sure that my shoulder blades are neutral, which means they're not up in my ears, but they're also not pulled down my back. They're right there in the middle, okay? Right toes up in the sky, big breath. Exhale, kick your right foot all the way across your body. Push that footprint as far away as you'd like. And now look to your right. This is a giant outer hip stretch. Love this one. You're kind of wringing yourself out like a sponge here. Your footprint is pushing in one direction and your upper body and gaze is in the opposite direction. Inhale, right toes back up in the sky. Exhale, kick that foot all the way through. All right, you're going to spin your back heel down, anchor into your heels, rise up and find your warrior two. We're going to immediately check that 5 toes are pointing forward, knee tracks at the middle of the foot, and that your shoulders are stacked on top of your hips. Once you have a big inhale, exhale, flip and reverse your warrior. So we're trying to lengthen through this right side body up into the fingertips while the shoulder blade remains down the back. Big inhale. Exhale, side angle. Drop the right forearm or the right fingertips. Broaden the chest towards the ceiling. Reach through the crown of the head. Give me a breath. Coming all the way up, straighten out that front leg. Reach for the sky. Again, shoulder blade is down the back even though your energy is pulling upwards towards the fingertips. And then finally, we're going to reach forward and down for triangle pose. Now, feel free to micro bend the knee if you feel like you're locked out. Hand is going to slide down to the shin, the ankle, or the pinky toe side of the foot. We love to sag our head down here, so really lift up against gravity, reaching through the crown of the head. Take a big breath. And then exhale, we're going to bend the knees, hands down, walk to the middle. All right, from here, heels in, toes out. Find your goddess for just a moment here. So we're in this position of opening up the inner hips, but we're going to work this into the outer hips. All right, take a big breath. On your exhale, your right ankle is going to come all the way up over and across and find your funky chair. Come on down to that outer right hip. Once you feel that nice tug, you're going to bring it right back. Goddess, bring it down. Left ankle is going to come all the way up over and across. Big funky chair. All right, we're going to do one more in each direction. Come down into goddess. And then right ankle comes up over and across. Gaze is strong and steady at a spot on the floor. Bring it back, goddess. And then last one here, left ankle on top. Big funky chair. Ha. All right, last goddess. Big inhale. Exhale, hands to the floor. Walk to the top of the mat. All right, so option 1 is down dog. Option 2 is side plank. So solidify that left shoulder. Slide back, hips high in a kind of rainbow shape. And then I'll see you in down dog. Second side. Inhale, left toes up. Exhale, push your footprint all the way over to the right. Keep pushing it. Okay, once the leg is straight, look to your left. So you're kind of spiraling the chest and heart and belly button towards the left, feeling a really giant stretch on that outer left hip. Take a big breath. All right, inhale, left toes up. Exhale, kick it on through. As you spin the back heel down, we're going to rise up strong through the legs, stacking the spine and checking that the back heel is further back than the toes so the knee feels safe. Big inhale. All right, here we go. On your exhale, flip and reverse your warrior, checking on those shoulder blades. Then side angle, dropping the left forearm, stay here, or the left fingertips. Try not to dump into this pose, but rather resist gravity. Rise up, straight arms, straight legs, reach for the sky. And then exhale, bring it forward and down, triangle pose. The pressure to the ball of the front foot. Micro bend the knee if you'd like. And then again, resist gravity. Lengthen the spine, take a breath. Good. As I bend the knee, hands come down. Option 1 is down dog. Option 2 is that strong side plank. Push the floor away from you so the spine looks more like a rainbow rather than a U shape. All right. See in down dog. Lengthen it out. Okay, looking forward, bend the knees, step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. Exhale, second round. Settle down into your chair. We're going to bring the right knee up with us. Find your funky chair. Now you have the option of here hanging out for a second, or if you'd like to utilize those blocks on whatever level you'd like. The lower you get, usually the more intense the stretch is on that right outer hip. So take a big breath for me here, settling in. All right, let's do the other side. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, chair, all 10 toes pointing forward, heavy through those heels. Inhale, left knee comes up. All right, take your time finding this side, which is going to be different. So maybe the blocks aren't an option on that side, and that's fine. Maybe the side's feeling pretty good, and you decide to move the blocks into a different position. We got one more big breath. And then inhale, left knee comes up. Exhale, find your chair. Inhale to stay. Exhale to fold hips on top of heels. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, your vinyasa, which of course could be down dog like we did last round. Or if you'd rather, you can drop the knees, broaden the chest, elbows to ribs, tap, and then down dog. All right, inhale, right toes up in the sky. Go ahead and push that footprint all the way over to the left. If you need more this round, you can take your toes closer to the front of your mat. Take a little peek over to your right. Whoo, take a breath. All right, inhale, right toes up, and then exhale, kick it all the way through. Now punch through your back heel, rising up strong through the legs, buckle up that core, support yourself in crescent, all right? So here's our flow. We're gonna inhale, rise up straight-ish legs, take a big spiral to the right as you lower back down, feeling the outer hips respond. Inhale, rise up, exhale, twist, and lower through that spiral. Good. Keep flowing. Keep feeling those outer hips. Maybe now they're getting a little more cooperative, a little less in that intensity of the stretch. We got one more. All right. Next time you come back up, big inhale. Exhale, just plain crescent, settle down in. You're going to drop the right hand to the side, reach up and over with the left, maybe creating a side body stretch all the way down to that left outer hip. Whew. All right. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, look at your blocks. It's where we're headed. Bend, push, lift, warrior three. Reach the fingers. Try to maintain that nice level low back as you draw and cinch in the core. One more breath here. And then exhale, hands to the blocks. We're going to swing that left foot up, over, and across. Bend both knees to stay buoyant, and then walk the blocks over to your left. We're going to relax the chin to the chest, so we're staring at our kneecaps, and then get a little sassy with that right hip. Deciding if you need a little more, you can drop the blocks down to a lower setting. Or if this is your cranky side, maybe you're going to bend the knees and give yourself a little more slack. All right? Find the stretch that works for you. Give me a big old breath. All right. Go ahead and walk those blocks on back to center. Take that left foot and sweep it all the way back. Ooh. All right, and then a little different here. We're going to pretend like we're doing side plank with the right hand up, but we only want to move that front foot about halfway back and spin all 10 toes to point to the side. Maintain that strong side plank through the side body, okay? We're not going to dip into the shoulder. I only lower my hips until I feel that outer left hip stretch, and then I'm going to hike my hips up high, pressing into the right foot until I feel my outer right hip stretch. Okay, at no point am I sagging into my shoulder. I'm keeping everything strong. Okay, one more round, back and forth. Hands come down. I'll see you in down dog. Lengthen it out for the second side. Inhale, left toes up in the sky. Exhale, kick it on over to the right, maybe scooching your toes closer to the head of your mat, and then take a big old twist to your left. Hopefully, this stretch is a little less intense than it was the first time. Big inhale, exhale, back up. All right, take an inhale. Exhale, kick it on through. Punch into your heels, strong through the legs so nothing goes into your low back here. Find your crescent. We're going to inhale, rise, and we're going to exhale, spiral to the left, okay? So each time you're working on maybe getting a little bit lower in your crescent so you're feeling those outer hips talk to you, okay? Inhale up, and exhale, spiral down. One more, inhale up, and exhale down. All right, this time inhale up, pause, look forward, bend, push, lift, trying to create basically this letter T with the body. So straight line from hands to head to hips to heel. Inhale, exhale, hands to the blocks. Right foot's going to kick up, over and across. Bend the knees, walk the blocks over to the right. And then once you're in position, go ahead and relax the chin to the chest. This is your opportunity to get a little sassy in that left hip to find your measure of stretch, which might involve moving the blocks to a lower setting, or you might bend the knees a tick extra. One more big breath. All right, walking those blocks back to where you found them. We're going to step that right foot all the way back into a low lunge and pause here. So again, pretending side plank. Left hand goes up, strong to the right shoulder. Slide your foot back halfway, 10 toes to point to the side of your mat. Staying strong in the shoulder, I'm going to drop the left hip down, and then I'm going to hike the hips nice and high. So I'm going to feel the outer hip as I lower and the outer hip as I lift. Okay, one more. Okay, hands come down, slide it back into down dog, lengthen. We're gonna come into pigeon. Right knee comes towards the nose, dropping the shin comfortably across the mat. Drop the back knee, and then we're gonna wiggle that knee a little further back. And when your outer right hip says you're good to go, then you're gonna flatten out the toes, creating a straight line from sitting bone to the big toe. Then as I come down, I might need the support of a block underneath that right hip, depending on how cranky those hips are, because we do want to create a level low back. So if you ever need confirmation, just place your hand across that tailbone area and make sure that one cheek isn't any higher than the other cheek. All right. Once you're level-ish, then go ahead and find a few cycles of breath here. Feel free to close down the eyes. Maybe compare your inhales and exhales to the number that you counted at the very beginning of class. Maybe feeling the belly expand against the right leg. Now, this next part, it's not a big movement by any means. It's more just kind of an energy shift. I want you to imagine the left side, so your long leg side, getting 1% heavier. Okay, just 1%. It's not a big shift. Not a big move, but if you get 1% heavier, you might feel a tiny bit more of a stretch on the right side. One more big breath here. All right, we're going to place the palms on the mat, draw the belly in, curl the back toe, slide back into down dog so we can switch it out. Left knee comes in, sweep the shin across the mat, drop the back knee, and scooch it on back. Reaching through that big toe for that nice straight line, and then confirming that we're not dumping into one side of our low back. Okay? Feel free to use a block. Sometimes a block is needed on one side and not the other. No worries. This is your time to breathe, to come back into that intention of breath we had at the beginning of class. Might be your chance to feel the heartbeat. Maybe slow it down a tiny bit. And last big breath here. All right. Okay, coming back to the palms. Firm bellies, curl the toes, slide back into down dog for a heartbeat. As soon as you're there, we're going to drop the knees hip distance apart, keep the toes curled, and you're going to slowly walk yourself on back. Hands can rest on the mat or the thigh bones. We want a nice big stretch up the soles of the feet. So we're going to keep the heels in line with the sitting bones, knees in line with the hips. Okay, so a few cycles of breath here. Feet health is so very important, even though this stretch usually is pretty grumpy for most people. Okay. All right. We got one more flow for the outer hips. Then we're going to come down and do a ridiculously good stretch with them, and then some myofascial release. So just about made it. Okay. All right, go ahead and come on out of this. Wiggle the toes. And then stepping back into a strong plank, magnetizing the thumbs towards one another. Find your down dog with those neutral shoulder blades and that heavy head. All right, here we go. Inhale, right toes up in the sky. Last time, we're going to sweep the foot over to the left, maybe toes creeping towards the front of the mat. Take a gaze to the right, and then just notice how different this is from the very beginning of class. Inhale, right toes up. Exhale, kick it on through. Strong through the legs. Rise up crescent. Big inhale as you draw the hips to the ribs to support the low back. One big inhale. Exhale, spiral lower to the right side. Hang out here for a moment. Whoo, feeling all that goodness. All right, inhale right back up. Exhale, hands to heart center, bring the left knee into the chest. We're going to find our last funky chair, comparing this funky chair with the very first one we took at the beginning of class, maybe using the blocks or the floor if you'd like. Take a big breath here. And then strong through the core, draw your energy upward, stand up tall, bring the knee back into the chest. Right hand's going to scoop up the thigh bone, big twist spiral to the left side of your mat. You can choose to stay there to straighten out the leg, or we haven't done a lot of hamstrings, so it might not be there, and that's fine, but you might grab the pinky toe side of the foot. Big breath in your dancing Shiva. And then as you slowly release, we're going to sweep that foot all the way back to the back of the mat. All right, slide it back. Last side, last set. Inhale, left toes up. Exhale, kick it on over to the right. Pause here. Find your variation of the pose. Look in the opposite direction of your foot. Take a breath. Again, noticing how it feels a little nicer than it did at the beginning of class. Left toes up in the sky. Exhale, kick it on through. Power through your heels as you rise up. Big inhale, reaching through the crown of the head. Exhale, dip lower as you spiral to the left. Feel the outer hips. Good. Inhale, rise right back up. Exhale, hands to heart center, knee into the chest. We're going to find that final funky chair. Keep the foot flexed, sneak down lower, maybe noticing again how this one is pretty different from the one we started with. It's always important to recognize the benefits that you're getting and the progress that you're making. All right, bring that knee back up into the chest. Left hand's going to scoop up the thigh bone. Right hand's going to reach back. Choose to stay here or extend through the leg or even bind on the pinky toe side of the foot. Big breath here in your dancing Shiva. Whew. Nice. Bring it all the way back. Step it back. I'll see you in down dog. Lengthen it out and then drop the knees. All right, we're going to land on our booty. We've got 2 more outer hip stretches, one with the strap, one with the blocks, and then we're going to do that myofascial release that I promised you. So having the blocks handy here, because this next pose is pretty intense. This sometimes is called double pigeon because it's very, it's double the fun, right? We did pigeon pose. This is going to be the deeper level of muscles below the ones that we stretch with pigeon. Sometimes it's called fire log pose. What we really want to pay attention to is that we're keeping the knees comfortable and healthy. We're not getting a hip stretch to the detriment of our knees. All right, so hence the blocks. I'm going to stack the right shin on top of the left shin, and a lot of us are not going to be comfortable doing that, hence the blocks. We're basically going to put the foot on a little pedestal, which is going to decrease the bend of the knee and make you feel a lot happier about being in this position. Maybe it's just one block. Maybe you're here and that's comfortable, but your knee's got a gap. You can use wedges, kickstands, whatever you need, because we are going to be folding and we don't want to put a lot of pressure through a knee that is hanging out in space. All right, so find what you need. And if you've never tried the blocks before, highly recommend it, because sometimes you can get an even deeper stretch. Even if you're comfortable here and doing this stretch, blocks are a great option. It gives you something different, okay? So once you're settled, I think I'm going to just use one block. Makes like that one on my hips. All right, here we go. My right shin is on top. Inhale, lengthen up through the spine. Take a big twist so that your heart is lined up with your left knee. And then we're just going to slowly start to walk the hands out. Now, for a lot of us, we're not going to get very far into this fold before our outer right hip says, oh my good Lord, right? So take your time easing into this. A lot of times when we hit these really deep, tight muscles, the body's going to fight back a little. It's going to say, are you sure you want to stretch this muscle? So breathing into it, relaxing into it. After a few cycles, you might find like, okay, the intensity has waned a little bit. So maybe I'm able to get a little further into this pose. So we're going to be here for a few more cycles of breath. So just slowly ease into it, using your breath as a guide. Each exhale, you're melting and relaxing. Now, if you feel this right sitting bone start to lift up off the floor, we want to make sure and guide it back down so that right sitting bone is nailed to the floor, and then we're pulling away from it. Okay? These are your deep external rotators of the hip. So they're pretty much the deepest muscles right next to your pelvis and thigh bone. One more big breath here. And then because we were here a little bit longer than normal, I want you to take your time walking the hands back, kind of easing yourself back. We don't want to like whiplash ourselves back in space. And then both hands are going to nicely guide that ankle out of the pose so we're not kinking anything up. And then you can shake it out to do the other side. Okay? Knowing the other side is a completely different beast, and knowing that you might need those blocks, you might not. Use what you need. Stay safe. I'll put a block there. All right. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Turn heart to knee, and then slowly start to walk it forward, okay? You immediately recognize which side doesn't appreciate the stretch as much as the other, and that's fine because we're human and we're always going to have those imbalances or asymmetries. But just use your breath to guide the body slowly, one cycle at a time, into accepting the stretch rather than resisting it and pushing against it. I like to, on each exhale, kind of imagine everything melting, kind of each muscle fiber lengthening, releasing. And then if you ever feel like you want to go further into it or wiggle the fingers further, all those are options. Keep that left sitting bone heavy to the floor. Let's take one more big cycle of breath. And remember, you're in a pretty deep set of muscles here. You've relaxed for a little bit longer here. So as you come out, do so slowly. Take your time letting those muscles go back to their starting position. And then both hands are going to guide that ankle out. Okay? All right. We are done with the blocks. Go ahead and wiggle it on out. All right. We're going to use the ball for myofascial release and then the strap to stretch it out after we have done that massage. All right, so what I want to do here is I'm going to place the ball on what I'm going to call side cheek, okay? It's almost like I'm sticking the ball in my side pocket. Okay, so I'm just kind of laying it there. What I want to do, I'm not shoving him underneath me. I need to roll my body on top of the ball and let the ball sink into side cheek. Okay, the thing you have to watch out for is you've got a thigh bone right here. All right, we've got our quad muscle on this part of the thigh bone, and we've got the side cheek on the other side. So as we roll back, you're probably going to feel the ball go thunk over that thigh bone and sink right there into the meat of that side cheek. All right, so once I have the ball placed, I'm going to land on my elbow. That's important. All right, on the elbow, and then I'm going to slowly roll over. I can feel the ball pressing into my thigh bone. I'm going to keep rolling and then kind of thunk over. So honestly, you probably aren't going to be able to see the ball at all because of how I've rolled over on the top of it. If I'm, let's see if I can do this. If I'm here and you can see the ball, it just doesn't really feel good at all because it's on my thigh bone. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I'm right back there. Okay, so the reason it's important to be on your elbow is because I'm going to use this to guide my body forward and back until I find the perfect spot to sink into, and it does not usually take very long before you find it. And then once you do, it's so important to relax because just like we were practicing in that last double pigeon stretch, the body's going to immediately go, whoa, are you sure? And going to kind of press against the pressure and maybe even fight against it a little bit. It's going to brace. So we need to take a big breath, really relax, melt, and be like, hey, by the way, body, this is really good therapeutic pressure. This is going to do some really good stuff as long as we don't resist it, okay? We relax into it, and pretty soon that intensity that you were originally feeling fades, and you're like, hey, this is great. And then you're going to move, and you're going to find another spot that goes, whew, okay, that needs investigation. And then pause, breathe, relax, wait until the body accepts the pressure, and then utilizes that pressure to kind of reset that area. Imagine an iron, ironing out wrinkles. We're just pressing that iron into that stubborn wrinkle. Once that wrinkle's gone, I can move and find the next spot. So we're here for about another minute. Guide the ball up and down the side cheek. You stay here. I'm just going to move to show you where the ball is. Okay, so again, I'm just kind of moving right along here. And you just find what feels productive, not painful. All right. About 3 more cycles of breath. There's a good spot. All right. Whew. Okay, as I roll back over, I'm going to take the ball, and I'm going to take a second to lengthen out my legs and see if I can really feel a difference. For me, it feels like I've got a flat tire on this side. Everything's heavier, squishier, just more relaxed. On this side, it feels like I really have these kind of like steel bands holding me in. All right, so we're going to address that. All right, second side. I'm going to place the ball gently, kind of where I'd place it into my side of pocket. Land on my elbow. Remember, I'm going up, over, and across, so you're probably not going to see the ball. It's going to disappear right into the side of that glute. So we're just kind of pushing, settling the body right on top of it. And then as soon as I'm here, I'm going to use my elbow to kind of wiggle around a little bit and then find the spot that needs to be addressed. Right. Remember, keep your breath. Breath is going to calm the body. It's going to help the body realize that, hey, this is good stuff. Don't fight it. It's going to be beneficial in the end. Okay, so your body's going to tell you where your spots are. Okay, you're going to follow your numbers. You're looking for like a 7 out of 10 on your sensitivity scale, not your pain scale. So as you move around, your body's going to be like, yeah, no, that's good. Nope, nothing there. Oop, yep, that's getting better. Oop, lower, lower. Okay, we've got about another minute here. And then we'll finish off with this really nice stretch with the yoga strap. Always like to stretch out the tissues that we've influenced with myofascial release, so we're kind of resetting them. This is pushing a lot of hydration into the tissues. It's helping them kind of get back to where they need to be. And then that stretch is just going to give them that last little, ooh, good stuff. All right, last few breaths. Okay. As I guide off that ball, I'm going to get out of my way so it's not going to mess with me in Shavasana. There we go. I'm going to scoop up my strap, lay on back. I want to find the middle of my strap. Hey, Watson, what you doing? I'm going to place the strap on the ball of the foot. That's important, the ball, not the arch. And then I like to wrap my hands around the strap so that I can kind of lazily just hang out here. All right, so it's going to feel like a hamstring stretch and a calf stretch to begin with. All right, that's not our priority. It's the outer hip. So as I guide my foot across, we kind of did this at the beginning of class with our hands behind the thigh bone. This is nice because I can kind of play with the angles, and I have my, I just have more options here. Now I can always bend up that left knee if this is a little intense. But the nice thing with the strap is you do have so many options here to play with and to find. And we're just trying to look that big outer hip stretch, that area that we just massaged. We're just going to be here for about 2 more cycles of breath before we switch it out. And then as you guide yourself back to center, we're going to take the left foot, replace the right foot, and you might have the right footprint on the floor. You might have the right leg straight flat out against the mat. All right, so again, kind of finding the ball of the foot, not the arch, and then guiding the foot across the body. And this side's completely different, so you might play with your angles again. Just don't assume that the exact same positioning is going to work on this side. Sometimes micro bending the knee gives you a different sensation than pushing through the heel. Be here for 1 more big cycle of breath. And then bring it all the way back to center. All right, let go of the strap, release. Let's take a full body stretch, reach the fingers, reach to the toes. And then place the hands down by the sides. Go ahead and get comfy here. If you need to return to that positioning of the knees together, it also influences the low back. So if your low back's grumpy, it's a nice way to broaden that area. All right, once you're in position, get out any fidgets, wiggles, take the movement necessary for you to set yourself up for the most successful Shavasana. Then closing down the eyes, immediately tap into your breath, knowing that the breath dictates how the body responds. We want to use the breath as a resource. We want it to send the right signals to the nervous system. So inhale deeply. Exhale completely. And continue to breathe in this way, allowing the air to flow up and down the body like waves. Add your awareness into those waves, checking out every square inch. So the brain is taking inventory, making sure everything's accounted for so it feels safe being still here. That awareness might also find more areas to relax, other places to release. You might find areas you're spending energy that you didn't even realize you were. And then finally, we want to use the breath as a resource to find that single-mindedness. We're not meant to sit here and think of nothing. We're meant to use the breath as a way to connect with the one thing that's going to anchor us here against the waves of distractions. That could be counting your breaths. It could be repeating something positive with each cycle of breath, like I am well, I am here. Or might be visualizing the waves flowing up and down the body, like ocean waves. You might even be able to hear the sound of the waves in the breath. Take a few moments here in the single-mindedness, utilizing that breath as a resource to cycle by cycle work towards that very best version of you. Calm, relaxed, ready to reset. Keeping the eyes closed. Take one more cycle of breath here to notice how different the body feels than at the beginning of class. Sensations that are no longer there. Maybe you're more comfortable laying flat on the back. Maybe the hips feel a little less constricted. And as you wiggle fingers and toes, I want you to keep recognizing those benefits. As you reach the hands up overhead, maybe compare this full body stretch with the one at the beginning of class, noticing differences in the joints. As you gently draw the knees into the chest, this is a good opportunity to notice the low back and the hips. Take any movement necessary before guiding yourself over to the right side, utilizing your right arm as a pillow. This is our all-important moment to hit the reset button. So take a moment to get just as heavy as you were in Shavasana and to use this last cycle of breath together to inhale exactly what you need to leave this mat a better version than when you laid down to begin with. And let's use this last exhale to leave behind anything that's going to get in the way of that purpose. And you've gathered up what you need. Then go ahead and guide yourself slowly to a seated position, sitting up tall in the spine, practicing that good posture of stacking the ears on top of the shoulders, on top of the hips. As you place the hands at heart center, you might again notice the outer hips, the focus of the class here in a seated position. If that feels a little more like freedom of movement, a little less constricted. Thank you so very much for taking some time out of your day to work on you, to find movement, to find stillness, to find breath work and mindfulness, and to realize how very important this 1 hour is to the other 23 of your day. It was my honor to lead you through class. Namaste.